Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's either Reluctant Gringo back again with another video, and today we're going to talk about, something that I rarely talk about, right? We cover pop culture on this channel, and, I know it's comics and Star Wars and Disney and Marvel and, all that fun stuff. But today we're going to talk about something in pop culture that, the news broke yesterday. Now, as you can tell, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I wear a wrestling mask. I love Lucha Libre. I live down south of the border. I go to the matches. I've been a wrestling fan ever since I was a kid. Especially growing up in the Northeast, you become a huge WWE fan, or back then WWF. And yesterday I read one of the most probably disturbing documents I've ever read in my life. And that's saying something for someone of my age who's been a little bit around the world and, seen some things and heard some things before. But yesterday, the Wall Street Journal broke it first, and I saw the actual indictment. And Vince McMahon, WWE, TKO, which now owns WWE, they also own UFC, along with John Laurinaitis and some other unnamed individuals were in this indictment, and Vince McMahon has been accused of. Now, again, listen, I'm going to be the first one, and I'm always going to say you're innocent until proven guilty, and I think everybody deserves their day in court. That doesn't mean that I'm a fan of one person or another. I'm trying to be really unbiased here. But he's been accused, along with this other person, John Laurinaitis, who was a former corporate executive in charge of talent relations. He's been on screen as a talent back in like 2011, 2012, things like that. He's a former wrestler himself. They've been accused of trafficking. Now, here's the thing. Listen, I know there's a lot of rules on YouTube about what you can say, what you can't say, what words you can use. And so I'm going to be a little bit cryptic. I'll do my best to really kind of get you to understand what's exactly in this indictment. I'm going to leave the link in the description below. You can read it if you want. It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever read in my life. Whether it's true or not, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it's disgusting. So these Vince McMahon and another individual in WWE have been accused of engaging in S trafficking and S assault. There's the R word there that I would prefer to use because that's exactly what it was. I think when you say S assault, or you don't really call it what it is, you diminish the actual gravity of the act itself. I mean, it's when two men force a woman into a room and force her to do things that she doesn't want to do. I think when you say S assault, it really diminishes what that act really is. It's a violent act, a disgusting act. But I'm going to do my best. This indictment comes down. It's 62 pages long. And I took the time to read through it. I read through it last night. I didn't make the video on it last night. I really needed time to process what I had read because, like I said, it was really disgusting. My wife was asking me, what is it? What is it? I couldn't even discuss it with her. I didn't even want to repeat the things that were in it to my own wife or anybody else, really, at that moment, until I had time to really process what kind of sick, disgusting, depraved acts were described in this indictment that were forced upon this young woman. Now, let's get to the history. So about a year ago, we all know Vince McMahon stepped away from WWE. There was, what happened was, apparently, this is the story we got. There was an inappropriate relationship between Vince McMahon and this unnamed plaintiff. It got leaked. There was an investigation. Why? Because apparently Vince McMahon was using money from the corporation to pay off basically hush money, which when you don't declare that or put that in the finances, or you try to hide it for what it is, guess what? That's a violation of SEC regulations, federal law, federal tax codes, things, all that. So, he got forced out. He eventually made his way back in. But what it is now this NDA that they forced this woman to sign. Now, all this occurred between 2019 and 2022. So this is recent. This isn't like we're talking someone 20 years ago. This woman who had signed this NDA, who was supposed to get, I think, around $3 million in hush money. Well, he never paid the hush money. So she's like, well, then the NDA is non-existent, and she's going to file her lawsuit. And that's exactly what she did last night, or yesterday, or the day before. And it's going to go to trial. At least I think it's going to go to trial. I mean, if you're TKO and you own WWE now, you just bought WWE, and you just made this huge $5 billion 10-year deal with Netflix to stream Raw and all your products worldwide. First of all, Netflix is going to be thinking, whoa, the day after we announce this deal, we get hit with this. This is not our brand. So who knows what's going to happen with the Netflix deal? That might just fall apart because the product itself right now is tainted. I think if you watch WWE, I mean, Vince McMahon is the face of WWE, which brings us up like, is he going to be fired? Is he going to be let go? Is he going to be forced out again? We'll see. None of that's really occurred. Really no real statement of substance has come from WWE or TKO on this matter yet. But this woman, when you read this 62-page indictment, you really feel for, you really kind of understand what it's like to be a victim, to have someone of immense power over you, influence you, and do the things that they did verbally, physically, emotionally. So if you read the 62-page indictment, and you're going to believe every word of it, which is fair to say. If you want to believe that, that's fine. Again, I'm trying to be unbiased here. It's horrific. It really is horrific. And the New York Post reported today, and it's in the indictment, that not only was there a relationship, a physical relationship, but it was definitely one of dominance over a victim, and one where McMahon would allegedly use toys, and he would name them after his wrestlers. So if it was a black colored toy, he would name it after a black wrestler. If there was a white colored toy, he would name it after one of his favorite white wrestlers. And it's just some sickening stuff. There are acts that I can't get into, that I just don't know how to describe it on YouTube. The disgustingness. There's threesomes with other men between Vince McMahon and, again, allegedly between Vince McMahon, this woman, and she was basically being forced to have physical relations with other people in the office. Allegedly, he forced her to pose nude, took the pictures and was showing them all over the place to the people in the corporation. So the picture being painted is of a very toxic workplace environment. It's hard for me to believe that no one really knew what was going on. It's hard for me to believe, because I've worked in corporate environments. It's not easy to keep secrets in a corporate environment, especially, one where it's just so enclosed, offices, cubicles, things like that. Everybody knows what's going on. There are rumors, but so it's amazing to me to think that no one, if this is all true, no one knew what was going on. So I think there's a lot more dominoes to fall here. Beyond that, this is a civil suit. My questions, I have a lot of questions. Yes, by the way, you will hear that an unnamed WWE superstar is also involved, or sort of brought into the mix. It's kind of murky, but they do say that this WWE superstar is a former UFC heavyweight champion. Take that for what it's worth. That kind of narrows down the names, doesn't it? So I'm not going to name that name here, just because, again, he's not, or he or she is not named in the indictment. So I'm not going to name him here or speculate on who that person might be, but definitely there'll be questions to be asked. So I've got a lot of questions. So, the last time this happened, last year, when Vince McMahon got forced out, the company ran an internal investigation. It was actually run by Vince's daughter, Stephanie, who came in to be interim CEO with Nick Khan. And they ran this investigation. Apparently, they never bothered to interview this particular woman who is behind everything, or behind the victim behind the whole story. So I'm not sure what kind of investigation was run by this corporation, if they didn't bother to go to straight to the person whose name is involved in all this. So what kind of investigation was that? My other questions are, where is the Connecticut Attorney General? I mean, they have offices in New York, they have offices in Connecticut. Their main headquarters is in Stamford, Connecticut. Obviously, to me, when I read this indictment, these are criminal acts. If these alleged acts are true, they're criminal, and they should also be prosecuted criminally. Now, again, I get it. The piece, my opinion. Again, I'll leave the link for the CNBC article that links to the actual indictment. And if you want to read it, go ahead. Just if you're gonna read it in a private place, not public. Read it somewhere where I think you should kind of have some space to yourself. It's definitely not safe for work. It's just not safe, period. I didn't even feel comfortable reading it here with my wife in the other room. Like I said, it's just sickening. It sickened me. And I'm a fan of WWE, and I don't know how I feel about that anymore. Am I going to watch the Royal Rumble? Am I going to continue to give money and attention to this product? If this is the type of person, again, if this is all true, if this is the type of person who actually committed these acts, again, I believe they're not only civilly, if true, there should be massive civil penalties. There should be massive criminal implications and consequences. Where's the federal government in all this? Because this is violation of SEC regulations. The federal government and the IRS and the SEC should be crawling all over WWE right now, trying to figure out what in the hell went wrong here. What the hell was going on? Because let's be realistic. This is not a one-time incident. this person, Vince McMahon, has been accused of this and paid out monies for these types of acts before, throughout the last couple of decades. No one's ever going to claim he's an angel. And but you always look at the on-screen persona and think, well, they're just doing it for television. Really, maybe this is just who he is. And if that's true, if any of this is true, then you'd have a real psychopath here. You have someone who's a danger to other people. You have a person who's hurt other people in disgusting ways, involved other people, who's really someone who needs to answer for these things if they are found true. Now, in this indictment, you probably think, what evidence? Is it just hearsay? No, there are text messages. Again, these text messages, the text messages that are pasted into this indictment between Vince McMahon and the plaintiff, there's absolutely no way I could read these on a YouTube video. Absolutely none. There's no way. There's no way I could edit them. There's no way I could speak them. There's just no way. They're just absolutely horrific. And that's the word I keep going back to. Even talking about it makes me a little nauseous. Even remembering what I read makes me a little nauseous. There are receipts. There are text messages. So there's plenty of evidence being given. So like I said, when I finished reading it, I've been in a court before. I've been on juries before. I know how this stuff works. And I got to say, it's just an amazing amount of evidence that they put in here. And the way they go through the story, the way they tell the plaintiff's story, it's heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. This woman, just to give you a little preview, she was bankrupt because she was caring for both her parents who were dying. So round-the-clock, year-round care. It bankrupted her. And that happens in America. Dying in America is an expensive thing. She was a broken person after that, after her parents died. Somehow got hooked up with an interview with McMahon, and he promised her the world. That's how she came to be into that world of WWE or WWF or whatever it was at the time. And so this is back in 2019, so WWE. And it turned into a horror show. It turned into a real horror show. And, any real man will read this indictment. Any real man will read these text messages. Any real man will read that and say, that is absolutely wrong. That is not how real men act. That's not how real men speak to a woman. That's not how real men treat a woman. He looks at him. When I use the word psychopath, it's obvious that when you read through that, if any of it is true, again, it's all alleged. If any of it's true, it's psychopathic tendencies. They look at a person, they look at people as objects, not people. It's an object. That's an object to him. That's what I got to say. I'm really, honestly, my reaction is I'm sick to my stomach with it. I don't know if I'm going to watch the product anymore. I don't know if I'm going to be able to support the product anymore. Even, you could see The Rock got put on the board of directors. Why? Well, now I think it's obvious. Vince McMahon was the face of that company. They need a new face. They need a new public face. What better than The Rock, Dwayne Johnson? Obviously the strategic move. And in business, I think that's really what they're trying to figure. There's billions of dollars at stake. Billions. If this company gets tainted in a way that people stop watching the product, if this company gets tainted in a way where it loses a bunch of money, loses a bunch of loses a bunch of TV deals, gets canceled. Let's just face it, gets canceled. It's billions upon billions of dollars at stake. So they're gonna do everything. And unfortunately, that's the way of the world. This one woman who might be a victim, again, alleged victim. If any of it's true, billions of dollars wins out in the end. And that's sad. I get it. That's sad. But that's reality. And we have to kind of look at it that way and look at it through that lens. And if we're going to be realistic and talk about these things, that's how we have to look at these things. But if any of it's true, it's worse than Harvey Weinstein to me. Harvey Weinstein is no longer the poster child for this type of behavior for me anymore. If this is if all these alleged acts become true, Harvey Weinstein, and of course, this is not, again, we said it's not the only one. Predators don't pick just one prey. So if it's true, I'm betting there's going to be a lot more coming out if this is all comes out in court, which it might not even see a courtroom. But that's what I got to say on this. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Check out my other videos here. I made a few other videos on some comics and stuff, some Star Wars, some lighthearted stuff. I know this is pretty heavy, so if you want to click on one of those thumbnails and have a good laugh or have a good time or just feel good about the day, then that's what I got for you. But from south of the border, I am still your reluctant gringo. Salud and a huevo.